Just some housekeeping rules, as you've probably already heard. We recommend that you have the view on speaker view, just so you have better attention to the panelist that's speaking. We ask that you please remain in mute, and do not take it as any offense if I just mute you on your behalf. I know sometimes we do it on accident. It's just so we can hear a little better. Put all your questions in the chat, and we'll get to them at the Q&A at the later portion of the talk. And just, you can always send me a message. I'll be here kind of moderating on the back end, just in case there's some technical issues. Okay, so for Shannon, whenever you guys want to get started, you should be able. The floor is yours.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our panel, Creatively Managing Risk. Let me get my tips in a row here. As Silvana said, and you can see on the screen in front of you, just a couple of housekeeping items. Keeping your Zoom screen in speaker view, make sure you remain on mute during the session unless you are asking a question. Questions will be taken throughout the duration of the session. You can do that through the comment box or the raise hand feature. If you don't see the comment box, on the bottom of your Zoom controls, there should be a chat button. You click on the chat will open up. And to raise your hand, you would click the participants button. Find your name, click and go ahead and raise your hand that way. Colin, I'm with UCS College of Medicine's Office of Diversity Inclusion. Welcome to Breaking the Status Quo, Creatively Managing Risk. We have 3 panelists today joining us for the conversation. I'm going to introduce them one by one, allow them to introduce themselves, and then we'll get into our questions. So first up, Shannon Currie.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Awesome. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Definitely a pleasure to be here and participate in this event. My name is Shannon Currie, and I am the Community Partnership School Director here at OCPS Academic Center for Excellence. We are known as OCPS ACE. I have been in this position since the inception of the school for 4 years, and it has just been an amazing adventure. So thank you for the invitation to participate today.
Thank you for being here, Shannon. Next, I'll introduce Jennifer Cronk. Jennifer? You're on mute, Jennifer.
Sorry. My name is Jennifer Cronk. I am the Assistant Director at Roseanne Preschool here on the ACE campus here in Orange County. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm excited to speak to everyone.
Thanks, Jennifer. And we have Tasha on the phone, Tasha Robinson Banks. We are trying to get her back in the Zoom room, but she'll be joining us by phone in the meantime. Tasha, you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Tasha Robinson Banks, Senior Service Director for Levy-Hughes Boys and Girls Club. Been in the movement for 22 years, been in Paramore, Heritage Area for 21 of those 22 years, and I am finding an extreme pleasure to be with you today.
Thank you, Tasha. All right, let's roll into our questions. So you all are part of the OCPS ACE Community Partnership School. Tell us what that means. What is a community partnership school? What does that involve? How is that different from your traditional school? Guiding values and anything else you want to share in terms of community partnership school at ACE. Shannon, I'll go ahead and find your slides to share if you guys want to talk in the meantime.
Well, I'll go ahead and start. I mean, you know what, for Boys and Girls Clubs, it's just this amazing opportunity to be a part of this collaborative effort to make sure the youth that are in the Paramore Heritage area get all of the services that they need to become productive citizens. We are the very first Boys and Girls Clubs in Central Florida to be a part of a partnership that was created from the beginning. While we do have other clubs that have later joined community partnerships, we were established to be this way. And so it's just a great honor to be one of the participants in it that gets to shape the children's lives and offer programming after school is closed.
Okay, I'm still working with this technology. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay, and I think I'm looking at my slide. Is that you, Heather, with the slide up?
Yep, just let me know when you want me to push forward.
All right, let's move forward. So, yes, so with the Community Partnership School, you know, we are privileged here at OCPS Academic Center for Excellence to be a very unique model of the Community Partnership School, where we are the first community partnership school that's built with our partners on campus from day one. So it's a pleasure to be in partnership with the Levy-Hughes Boys and Girls Club and with the Roseanne Preschool and having University of Central Florida Children's Home Society and Orange Blossom Family Health. And I mention those because it's important to understand the core makeup of what makes you a community partnership school, which is slightly different from being a community in school. And so for us, we have those unique partners where we're really looking at, as you see the slide, just changing the trajectory of a child's life. You'll typically find a model such as this in a Title I school, and those are in communities that are considered or regarded as vulnerable. And so OCPS ACE being embedded in the Paramore community is one of those, and we are actually one of about 20 plus other schools in the state of Florida. So we're really excited to be able to bring some of these resources. If you can go to the next slide, and I'm going to be really quick because we have other partners. So here's a definition that we have that really explains the community partnership school, just saying that it's a physical place where you have other partners that provide resources for our students. And we're looking at how do we come together to address the needs of the whole child. And that whole child is not just working with the student, but also with the family. And one family at a time, you're impacting the community. So go to the next slide. So looking at the makeup of a community partnership school, you have a university or college partnership, which for us, we have the University of Central Florida, as well as Valencia College. We have the nonprofit side, which is Children's Home Society. They actually employ me and my team. We have our healthcare provider, which, as I mentioned, is Orange Blossom Family Health. And you have a school district, which is Orange County Public School. And we all provide these wraparound support services to the schoolhouse. Go to the next slide. So you have the pillars that are important to the community partnership school. So when you look at the pillars, you look at how do we impact the lives of our students. So again, talking about that health partner, the university partner, the nonprofit partner, all of us play a unique role. And in this slide, it just kind of breaks down some of the different things that we do. And again, what makes OCPS ACE unique is that we have like these other entities or institutions on our campus that make up this partnership. So go to the next slide. And I know that Heather will make these available to you. So you look at we're addressing, what's the challenge and how are we addressing the challenge? Well, we're closing that achievement gap. So we want our children that live in these vulnerable communities and go to these Title I schools, we want them to have the same, if not better, learning environments as schools in more affluent communities and environments. So that's, again, how that partnership come together and we coordinate or we take a shared governance approach as to how are we going to close those achievement gaps and how are we going to find solutions. So on the next slide, again, it shows you, provides a visual to you of how we all come together. Yes, we have a ton of meetings, and all of those meetings are valuable because we have to understand together, what all of the other partners are needing and going through, and again, how do we tie those together? And if you want to jump down to the next slide, it talks about the pillars. So what makes up a community partnership school, you have that expanded learning, you have wellness support, you have the family and community engagement, and collaborative leadership. So those are 4 main pillars that we focus on to ensure that there's model fidelity, to ensure that there's support, not just of one another, but again, of the children that we're changing lives. And then the very last one, to me, has always resonated to me. When you look at this photo, everyone's perception and take on it is different. So I don't know if we want to make this engaging or maybe come back to it, but I will tell you what I see. The way a community partnership school or the model supports a community and a school and a student and their family, when you look at this, of course, you see this young male child carrying luggage. And that luggage represents some of the challenges, and we call them adult-like challenges, that they bring to school every day, whether it's sickness, whether it's homelessness, whether it's hunger, whatever it is. And then you see another child that just has a backpack. This may be a child that doesn't have to worry about some of those things. You see the expression on their teacher. Both of them are looking at that child. And you see the expression of this child understanding that this is a load that they don't even have the ability to carry, but he's doing his best. And interpretations of that, of course, is looking at that child, but again, you can look at that child as needing all the attention, or preventing the other children from learning, or just making everyone feel annoyed. A lot of different complex situations are happening. With the community partnership school model, we address the needs of that child so that that teacher can conduct his classroom the way that he desires. That student can learn what she needs to learn, and the student that we're working with can also have those same opportunities to let someone come in and remove some of those, situations that they're dealing with and give them an equal opportunity to learn and understand and realize this great world of education. And that really, in a nutshell, is what is a community partnership school.
Thank you, Shannon. I'll ask Jennifer and Tasha if they have anything they want to add to that.
I'll go. For us at the Rosen Preschool, I think our whole campus is unique in the fact that not only do we serve children K-8 as an educational institution, but we also serve children 2s, 3s, and 4s. So we get them before they get to that public school environment, and we kind of help shape them. We kind of help support the family. So if mommy wants to go back to work, if mommy wants to continue working or go to school, we're able to take care of her younger children while she is doing that and supporting herself and her family as well. I think we have a unique part of our partnership in that we get them so young, and that I think there's a lot of research out there that shows that the earlier you get them, the more opportunity there is to help them be supported and ready to learn. So that's our partnership as far as going on the campus.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay. In the last few years that OCPS ACE has been in operation, what have you, as a partnership, learned about the Paramore community? And I'll leave it open to whoever wants to chime in first.
So this is Shannon. I will say the one thing that we've learned is that this community is resilient. They have really just stayed the course as best as they could, and even despite various changes and challenges that's happened to them throughout the years, you see them still just hammering forward. You know, this is a food desert. We have many families that face food insecurities, and, you know, but yet there are rich resources available, but the community in and of itself is just holding on, you know, and withstanding as best as they can just all the different elements that they have to deal with in this community. So from, you know, you see, you know, the uprise of newer communities you know, happening in the community, and then you see a decline, but yet they're holding on. So I really have to say the resiliency is something that I've noticed since I've been working in this community with the community school model.
Some of the things that I know about the community is that it's a very tight-knit community. You have parents here who've been here generationally. And while they may explain to us that, oh, we're moving, we find that they're only moving down the street instead of out of the area. Paramore in itself is a federally designated area of poverty. So there are a lot of rich resources and opportunities for the families to partake. And I think that getting those parents to partake in those and focus those targeted actions into helping them succeed and to further their education are some of the things that we really strive to work for.
So how does the Community Partnership Schools partners work together to play on these strengths and overcome these challenges?
Heather, I would love to, if I may pull on Tasha, only because she's been in this community for so long and worked with so many different partners and different elements to support the students. So I don't know if Tasha's still on, and then if I can follow her, that would be great. But I just think that she brings in so much information about that.
Sure, I know poor Tasha is getting a lot of technical difficulties with this, but Tasha, are you there?
Well, I'll go until she gets on. Again, just looking at, you know, I can speak specifically to my role as Community Partnership School Director, and I spoke earlier about that shared governance, and it's really just being open and willing and intentional about engaging with the partners on our campus, in addition to those community partners, because again, as Jennifer was saying, there are rich resources available to this community, and some that have been here for a very long time and have an interest in the community and its well-being. And so I think what's been really unique is that people have that or exemplify that culture of yes, or what can I do to support and be able to come together. So I think that is, you know, the one thing that we do is that we share our time and our space to come together, collaborate, coordinate opportunities to provide resources for the targeted audience, which are our families and our students, and not really being selfish about it. You know, it's, you know, everyone understanding that you're bringing something of quality to the table, and you're sharing that. So it's what one partner may do really good. Now with the support of another partner, we're doing really great. And it's just allowing other people to jump on board and extend our reach even further to, again, wrap these support networks around our children and our families. And I think that's the one thing that we do, and I feel like we do it really well, but we're also willing and ready to improve it even the more. So I would like to say it's just a work in progress, that we're still learning and we're still growing and we're still reaching and we're still impacting. So that's something that has been very impressive to me.
Okay, Jennifer or Tasha, you have anything to add to that?
Just piggyback on what Shannon was saying as well. You know, I think the strength, a big strength we have here in our campus is the ability to have these relationships with these families. We have the opportunity on this campus, if you're talking about a 2-year-old all the way up to grade 8 at the public school, you have the ability to impact a family for more than 10 years. So that for me is very huge in creating those positive relationships and making sure you're communicating to parents that you're in it for the long haul.
I appreciate you mentioning that, Jennifer, because I think that segues into the next question pretty well. How are you all working together to close the gaps and level the playing field for ACE students, families, and the Paramore community?
Well, for us, I'll go first. We are preschool, so we do offer free childcare here for the residents who are zoned for our community school. Our mission, our history started 27 years ago in Tangelo Park with Mr. Rosen. Mr. Rosen is a local hotelier here in the Orlando area. He owns 9 properties. He decided one day to help give back to the community, and he was approached by Mabel Butler, a previous, I think she was a commissioner working with Orange County government. She asked Mr. Rosen to help her improve the state of affairs, if you will, in the area, and he partnered with Family Child Care Homes to provide them with free child care for all the 2-, 3-, and 4-year-old children in the area. Those children would move on to the local elementary school, on to the local middle school, and on to the high school and graduate. And Mr. Rosen will help cover all of their college expenses. He was then approached by Dr. Jenkins here at Orange County Public Schools. No, it was, what is her name, Shannon? She sits on the board. Anyway, she was approached by another woman on Orange County Public Schools board to partner also in Paramore. So he has replicated that program here. He has replicated here in Paramore on a larger scale. We are a 30,000 square foot facility that has the capacity for 288 children, 2s, 3s, and 4s. We offer free childcare from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. We have credentialed teachers and teacher assistants. We have a licensed mental health counselor on staff to help with children and the families who are experiencing some personal issues. But we are, this year is a little different, but yeah, we have a large facility to accommodate the children.
Jennifer, the name you were pulling is school board member Kat Gordon.
There you go. Yes. Thank you, Shannon.
It's so funny because I'm talking through my phone, but then I'm looking at the computer, and then it's like, okay, wait, which one am I unmuting? Right. So I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Thank you. Thank you for your help.
Teamwork. And again, to your question, Heather, that's how we do it. This is teamwork, literally backing one another up and being that support network for them. And what Jennifer and I just did was like a really unique description of how we come together, where you have a partner doing an amazing work in the life of our children, our youngsters. Now they would transition over here to OCPS ACE, and now we have them for 8 years. So we can have them for 8 years, and knowing that ultimately they can work right up toward getting that scholarship through the Rosen Foundation. So, but while they're here with us, looking at some of the resources and how we work together to close those achievement gaps and, put our children on an even, equitable playing field, some of the things that we do, of course, when I talked about those 4 pillars, we look at like the extended learning. So what can we provide beyond the classroom, or in addition to curriculum, that gives them a unique learning environment? And again, not just working with the child, but looking at what we do with the teachers, with our partnership through the university support network. We're able to offer professional development opportunities to our teachers. So you have that. It's a big focus on trauma-informed care because of the uniqueness of the Paramore community. We're able to bring in support to provide those learning resources for our teachers. And it's important that we're educating our teachers to help build empathy and understanding the unique needs of the Paramore community. And that's a major way to close the achievement gap, as long as people understand. And so making sure that they understand, what luggage their child is bringing into the classroom and how you can take.
I'm sorry, Shannon, I think you got muted. Press #6 or *6 on the phone. Gotta love this virtual world. Okay, we'll take care of that. But I know Tasha's been able to join us, so I'm going to bounce the ball into Tasha's court. I finally see her beautiful face, so I'm going to let her talk for a few minutes while we figure out Shannon's issue. Tasha, you're on mute.
There we go. I apologize. The question you'd asked?
So the question is, how are we working together to close the gaps and level the playing field for ACE students, families, and community?
Well, what Boys and Girls Clubs is doing in particular is having the opportunity to have our college and career coordinators on site. As our members get an opportunity to join the club, we're able to connect with them and start this journey of, what are you going to do? What do you want to be? Where do you want to, how do you want to live kind of early on? Exactly. We're starting in the 8th grade, especially, and going up to 12th grade, but it gives us the opportunity to connect with them and to prepare them for some of the things that a kid who does not have all these resources would be able to have access to. In particular, how many Boys and Girls Clubs are located across the street from the college they'll actually be attending. And so just having the opportunity to provide our members with our college readiness opportunities is one of the ways that we're, closing the gap. We don't necessarily get as involved in the homes, like the school may, or even, Rosen may have the opportunity to, but we do, try to connect with our parents with some of our parent engagement opportunities, with Goodwill, helping them to get in school again themselves so that they can't be a distraction to their kid who has these opportunities. It's kind of like a family moving forward and understanding that they're changing the legacy of their home, their family, is what we're really, really interested in. Many of our kids have been in this community for a short while, meaning their life, but if you get a chance to talk to some of their parents, they've been living in Paramore, you know, since they were little. Their grandparents lived in Paramore since they were little. And, you know, with Paramore having such a rich history of educators and doctors and lawyers, things have kind of changed. And so we, you know, in the partnership, I'm loving that we have the opportunity to now get a chance to lift our kids up so that they can change, you know, how Paramore will be in the future and for themselves.
Tasha, can you touch on the 21st Century grant that you all received and how you're using that to help address this, to help close the gaps and level the playing field?
Well, our 21st Century grant has really come in and changed what the model of a club looks like. So traditionally in Boys and Girls Clubs, you can connect through programming and lots of other activities, but with our 21st Century focus, especially on education, our kids are getting the opportunity to connect with educators that, you know, right now we have many of the teachers from ACE over here helping run some of our 21st Century programming, even though it's through Zoom, of course, but they still get a chance to connect. You know, our kids are learning French and Spanish and Creole. Our kids are, you know, doing piano. You know, we have a sound studio. We just hired a production guy to run our sound studio. We have our dance studio. And so you've got all of these special places within the club that our 21st Century program is happening in. We have a culinary program for our elementary and our older kids. We have a photography class that's happening right now. And of course, all of the extra bonus things, Smart Girls, which is our health and life skills program, Passport to Manhood, which is our leadership program for young men, our Keystone Club. There's so many things that are happening, but our 21st Century program is just taking it to that next level. And they get a chance to also get tested on some things. So, you know, it's kind of like the school is doing an amazing job at, you know, getting them what they need. And then Boys and Girls Club is like the backup. You know, if you're missing anything anywhere, we can catch it and get them the support that they need.
Thanks, Tasha. Shannon, Jennifer, anything to add to that?
I'm good, thank you.
All right.
No, I'm glad that she was able to, that's what I wanted to hear. So no, because she said it in a nutshell.
Beautiful. Okay. So, you know, we've gotten a curveball this year. ACE has been open for what, 2 or 3 years now, probably more closer to 3 years. Oh, wow, 4. In operation for 4.
2017 August for the physical, but we've been working
planning
together
a lot longer than that.
Yes.
That's the truth. So, you know, you get in a rhythm and you start learning how to work together and, you know, starting to really align with all the partners and becoming a cohesive unit. But now that we are dealing with COVID, how are you working together? Especially, you know, you're each work for a different organization. How are you coming together to address this new challenge at OCPS ACE?
Well, since I'm unmuted, I'll go ahead. You know, Boys and Girls Clubs had the opportunity to kind of be the guinea pig in this process because we never closed when the COVID did happen. You know, it gave us an opportunity to truly see, you know, what this looks like for our kids, you know, the economic devastation to the families. You know, imagine now, you know, you've got the COVID, you know, which no one is understanding, but then your family, your mom, your dad can't go to work because there's no one to watch the kids. Schools are closed. You know, many other after school programs are closed. So Boys and Girls Clubs with lots of conversations and meetings decided, hey, we're going to go ahead and open some signature clubs and we're going to see how it is. We had the opportunity to put in some safety protocols that I think were second to none in making sure that these kids were safe when they came. And I'm proud to say that over the summer, we pretty much maintained a ratio of almost 50 kids in the summer. And I know that doesn't sound like a big number, but because Boys and Girls Clubs wanted to be safe, we had to cut the numbers. I think what this meant for the partnership is preparing our kids for when they went back to school, you know, and talking with some of the APs at the school. You know, many of the kids that already went to the club who've been prepared to wear masks, who've been prepared to, you know, have safety measures 6 feet apart, those kinds of things, they're doing really well over there. And so, you know, that's just our little piece of, you know, of having it. But also it is a great thing that we still have an opportunity to have the kids after school now. We've actually increased our numbers. So we're at like 108 for over here that are registered, but we have an average of about 79, 85 kids that are attending after school now. And I attribute that to the wonderful job the school is doing in making sure the families understand how serious our partnership is about keeping their kids safe, but them also coming here and getting a chance to still get this quality after school program that we all know can contribute to making things better.
I'll piggyback on what Tasha said as well. We unfortunately closed when COVID hit. So we were shut down from mid-March all the way until mid-August. We have reopened in August with a lot of our own safety protocols in place, as well as those that were given to us from the CDC. So every entry point of our building, both adults and children get their temperatures taken. We do a lot of physical distancing. Even our little children of 3s and 4s, they all wear face masks in school. We've had several very wonderful outside entities donate a number of masks to our facility so that if children, you know, sneeze on them or if they get sick at school and they barf on it, we still have something to give them to keep their faces covered. If children do become sick at school, we do have an isolation room so that children can be isolated away from the group until parents are able to pick them up. We do not allow any volunteers at this time, unfortunately. A lot of our parents did like to volunteer. We often had people coming in our building to provide activities or things for the children. Unfortunately, we don't do that at this time so that we can keep that infection of COVID down. Pre-COVID, we were at 201 children. Now we are currently at 45 kids. And by Monday, we'll be back up to 62 and we'll probably be opening up more classrooms after that as well.
Yeah, and for us, our, you know, adherence to the CDC protocols are in line with all of our partners. So we're doing all of the same things as far as temp checks and, you know, so social distances as best as possible. Everyone is required to mask up. And then too, just going back to the partnership, you know, over the summer, you know, as Tasha alluded to, is that they were the guinea pig of this. And I recall, again, coming together in a partnership and learning from what was going on at the Boys and Girls Club so that we knew here at ACE kind of how to manage things and coming up with a protocol of how we, you know, share and exchange information in terms of an infection or things like that. So it was really a critical point for us all that we had someone right here on campus that kept their doors open, that we were able to learn, you know, how to stay in alignment with CDC protocols based on their experiences and taking those things that support us to heart. So we were able to do a better job once we opened our doors, because just as Jennifer, you know, we had to shut our doors and launch an aggressive virtual or distance learning platform for our kids, because learning can't stop because of COVID. So we had to really, you know, help get computers or laptops in the hands of our children. But it really made a difference for us to sit at the lab, you know, of the Boys and Girls Club and really see how they were able to maneuver through this COVID-19 pandemic. That was very helpful for us as we prepared to open up our doors to our students.
I just wanted to interject really quickly because I know I didn't get the chance to say this, but I just love the cohesiveness of our partnership and being able to, learn from each other and share with each other. And, oftentimes you don't get such a great mix of people who see things from a kid perspective. They see it from their individual place of work perspective. But because we have this great desire to make, to be connected, it's very easy to communicate, hey, this is what we're doing. And when it works, it works. And that's the great thing about having several other people you can bounce things off of. Very few mistakes can be made when you got a bunch of people saying, hey, have you thought of this? Have you thought of that? So I do love that the school trusted us with being able to be on campus. There were not a lot of OCPS campuses opened in the summertime and in the beginning of the COVID. Our club was really fortunate to still be open. And I know people were like, but aren't you scared? And do you, what about this and that? And I'm like, I think what people really need to be scared of are the effects of the COVID after. And not being able to go to the daycare, not being able to go to school, not being able to reach out and go to your local boys and girls clubs. I've had some scary things be told. There are quite a few pregnancies that are happening. There are some things that happen that we know that when children have nothing to do or they have nowhere to be, you can guarantee some other things will happen. And so I'm glad that we kind of took the lead, meaning our partnership and Paramore, in saying, hey, we've got to have these vital things be a part of now. And let's work together to make sure everyone is safe, but also to make sure our kids understand you can get through this and they're going to excel as well.
Thank you for saying that, Tasha. As I was going to ask what the biggest challenge has been, and I think you kind of alluded to it, is the challenge is not having the students at school and what they're missing out on. So thank you for touching on that. But outside of that, what do you think your biggest challenge has been in making sure you're in alignment and communicating in real time in regards to your policies, protocols, and responses? Have you had any instances where you've had to take charge and really tackle a positive case, if that has occurred, or anything you want to share about that?
Well, I can actually say we had a couple of scares in the summer. Even though we were super careful, the one thing you can't control is your outside sources. So you can't control that a teacher goes home and she has a husband who has a job where he can't necessarily be as safe as where you are. And so we did have some scares. We had some false positives happen. But, of course, we communicated it to the school. The district had an understanding of it. And because our legal teams had already gotten together to know, exactly what should happen in case we do, we were able to navigate through some of those challenges. And I will say, it's the worst news to hear because as a director, you have to start thinking all kinds of things and keeping everybody safe. But what I can say is, like the other partners, our safety protocols, the disinfecting, the sanitizing, the making sure people are where they're supposed to be and who they're supposed to be with really has cut down on some of the scares that other people have had. My daughter's school is Edgewater. Edgewater gave out a phone call this morning where they had another COVID case. And so, I'm just glad at this moment, and I don't wish it on anybody, but I'm glad that ACE and its partnership has not had the scare like many other people have. And I think it's our partners listening to each other and working together, understanding if one of us fails and one of us does not do what it's supposed to do, it affects not just, Boys and Girls Club, it affects the daycare. My kids have siblings. It affects the school. My club kids have siblings. The school can't be reckless because I have club members there. They have siblings at the daycare. So we're all so connected that, you want to see the success in each one of us because it just holds us together tighter, and it allows us to be able to provide what we're here for. And that's, you know, life-changing opportunities and this education that they'll need.
Yeah, and to piggyback on what Tasha was saying, you know, all of us also developed an isolation room. So again, you know, of course, here in the school, we have a school nurse, but we also developed another space that should, you know, a child come that presents some of these symptoms, we're able to isolate them from the general population. And I know the same is in the Roseanne Preschool as in Boys and Girls Club. So it's really just taking those extra measures to ensure that you are taking every precaution possible to keep the school community safe as possible. You know, having a health partner on campus is a huge win for us, because that's instant access, and we've had to utilize that relationship these past couple of weeks, you know, just trying to ensure whether, you know, are these real symptoms or what are they, and just following all of those protocols. But it's a blessing and an amazing resource to have a full service pediatric center on campus, that it's literally a few steps away or a phone call away to getting a health professional to help you through, you know, identifying certain symptoms and things like that. So putting that isolation room in place, having the supportive arm of a full functioning, federally qualified health center on campus is an amazing resource, not just for the K-8, but for the Rosen Preschool, those 2, 3, and 4-year-olds, and the club members that are there even through high school age. So coming from the high school, that's a resource for all of us to utilize. And so those are some of the additional things that we're doing that may not be found in other schools, that we have it right here within walking distance, really skipping distance away.
Thank you, thank you, Shannon. Jennifer, I saw you were going to say something. Did you want to add to that?
I was just going to piggyback on what what Tasha was saying about outside sources. That you know, since COVID hit, a lot of families have been devastated financially because they could not work, or businesses were shutting down or laying people off. And so, you know, one of the challenges that we've been facing are mommies who are, you know, seeing that their child is getting a little cold, or maybe they're having a runny nose. So they're going to give them a dose of Tylenol a little bit, get them through the morning. And it's, you know, once lunch hits, that fever comes back, and it's, boy, making sure that we're diligent about making sure that we're not only, you know, watching our children, but touching them as well. Because the little ones sometimes can't say, I don't feel well, or something's not right. So that's been a little bit of a challenge for us as well.
Good point. Thank you, Jennifer. So you all have been back to work for a bit now, more than probably most of us. I know I mean, I'm working, but certainly not in the physical space. What would you share with other nonprofit professionals and organizations who, you know, they have not yet returned to work and they might be maybe hesitant or have some concerns? What would you tell them, or what could they bring to their organizations to help mitigate the risk for their staff, volunteers, and clients?
I'd say that, you know, what I find is our president of Boys and Girls Club has done an amazing job at connecting with the staff and helping them to understand he too has never been through this before, and that we'll all get through it together. And I think there's this message of hope. You know, everybody's scared, and they have the right to be. But the one thing that won't stop is kids won't stop growing. People won't stop living. There's no way to isolate yourself. Even if you stay in the house, you still got to order groceries. The groceries have to come from the store. The store has to have someone physically handle them. You know, there are so many ways that you'd have to overthink everything. And so I'd say, you know, the leadership that you have has to be on board with understanding that people are scared. And so me, you know, talking with my staff when I said, hey, you know, I'm sending you a letter about this COVID. It explains some things, but it also gives you the opportunity to say, I'm scared and I don't want to do this. And I will say, I had the only Boys and Girls Club where 100% of its staff returned. And it was my ultimate goal to make sure they felt that I was taking the safety protocols as seriously and as I was asking them to take it. But it also gave us another charge to understand you cannot be reckless. You will be endangering someone's life. And so even if you feel like you can't do this, then it's okay to exit stage left. But if you're going to join us, know that we are going to be very serious about what we have to do here, and double the safety part, 100 times. Plus, we have to get these kids educated. And the one thing I have never, ever believed in is being a part of something where my children, me and my family can't be a part of. So I'm not ashamed to bring my kids to my Boys and Girls Club during the COVID. Some people, are you gonna let your daughters go to the club? Yeah, their mom does an amazing job at making sure things are safe. And so I think that's a message in itself, to be on this campus, walking around and getting to know our kids who are new and getting an opportunity to still provide the services in a time of COVID. It's a big thing. And I know some people looked at it like, oh, some parents just want to send their kids back because they're being a little lazy. It's a big deal to send your kids somewhere in some kind of big pandemic and not know if they'll bring something back home. So to hear our parents say, hey, we want to thank you guys for taking on this COVID and being as safe as you do and taking it serious and asking the questions that you ask, it shows us that you're serious about it. But not only that, to Shannon's point, my daughter went to the clinic. She had an opportunity to go over to the clinic. That is amazing. Like she said, in the pandemic, and we never thought, we've always known how important Orange Blossom is, but for my daughter, I called everywhere and couldn't get her an appointment. Everything was Zoom. How do you Zoom with a patient? I don't know. I've chosen not to do that. But to know that our Orange Blossom Healthcare was brave enough to still, they're the healthcare, I guess they're brave, but to have a new patient in there and to take care of her, and asking Leah Grace about her experience after she'd come out of the clinic. And she said, Mom, the doctor was so nice, and it felt like any other place during the COVID. That's amazing. But I don't, like I said, believe in being a part of anything that I'd be embarrassed of. I love that about us, that we're not embarrassed to say, hey, we mess up sometimes. Hey, how can we do better? What can we learn from, this, and support each other and support it. But just being able to be open during this time has allowed us to be as successful as we have been. And I'm so glad for it.
I think I want to piggyback too on what Tasha has been saying too, is that I think it's been important that we are open, because it's giving these families a lot of hope for a return back to whatever, normal is. It allows them to continue to work, and we are taking the protocols very seriously. We have been COVID-free so far on this campus since we've opened. Thank you, Tasha. Yep, exactly. So we are very excited about that. And the longer we stay open, the longer we're COVID-free. I think it really shows parents that we are taking their children's safety very, very seriously.
Mm-hmm. And just to add to what's been said, I think as leadership, it's important to just providing that alternative work environment. I think the one thing that even my employer, Children's Home Society, did for us that made the world of difference for me and my team is that they gave us an alternative, because I really felt that they understood and cared about our emotions or our reservations during this time, and just keeping that open line of communication, and even posting, safety protocols. I think that makes a difference too, and just keeping us all educated on this era that we're going through. None of us have ever lived through anything like this, and here we are. So just ensuring that we're all educated on this pandemic and the safety protocols and measures, and being respectful of people's reservation and just providing that alternative learning. Look what we're doing with our children. You have the option now that whether you can come face to face or distance learning, learn from home. And I think this has been such a relief for our parents that now they have options, and we're providing that. So to Tasha's point, if they allow their children to come face to face and engage person to person, then that means that they trust that they're releasing their child to a safe environment. The same with Rosen. They can go to work or whatever, but they know that when they send that child out the door to come to school or to the safe space, that they indeed are in a safe environment, a clean environment, and a respectful environment. And that's what I appreciate about leadership, and what I also say was really important for leadership to provide to us all.
Thank you, Shannon. That was beautifully said. And we're at 11 a.m. Oh, it's 11 a.m. my time. I think it's about 2 p.m. In your time zone over there. So that brings us to the close of this program, but I can't thank you three enough. I think thanks for being so candid with us and sharing about your experiences. And thank you to our attendees. We appreciate you joining us for this session and hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for the opportunity.